Hello everyone. Our team member is Yang Roulan, Wu Ziying, Deng Pufeng. The research theme is People, Pechanzacharo, Community, Multi-Zulu Emergency. Scenario Education. The theme is divided into three research parts. The first part is secondary research. The second part is site analysis, and the third part is inhabitant analysis. First of all, let's talk about the first part of the theoretical framework, method, and solution. The theoretical framework method should have an individual's knowledge system and it is very important to incorporate it into education. Active cooperation between researchers and the community can ensure the feasibility of the program. Cultural response teaching emphasizes the importance of cultural background in education and ultimately resonate with culture and background. Next is location based in education, which should be practiced by paying attention to the local environment and culture. The second big problem is best design. Precedent for solving problems that may be encountered in emergency multidisciplinary methods are some of the best precedents, including architectural design, industrial design, textile design, graphic design, and interactive design. However, my research here focuses on graphic design to respond to the theme, and then I will present solutions to the research theme and design results in the form of graphic design.
Next is the site analysis section. The first is the climatic conditions in the Patjan-Jarry region of Europe, which is situated in the central region of Australia and is characterized by year-round drought and large temperature differences between day and night. The climate in this region is extreme. In winter, daytime temperatures can be pleasant, but clear nights can see the temperature drop below zero. Also, the region receives very little rainfall, with an average annual rainfall of 308 millimeters. In this ancient land, the Aboriginal People also had their own way of recording the seasons. They distinguished the seasons according to the growth of plants and the activities of animals, and gave these times different names. On the other hand, the perennial high temperatures and droughts have led to a scarcity of water and food resources in the area. So I studied the causes of the drought in terms of topography. According to the topography map of Ural region, the entire region except Ayers Rock has a plain terrain with an elevation between 500 to 600 meters. You can see that there are no rivers in the entire area, and there is no humid air because it's landlocked and far from the ocean. There are particular challenges in providing and using resources such as water and power in a remote and arid area, as rainfall is comparatively low in the region. The main source of reliable potable water is groundwater. Climate change has the potential to reduce rainfall or increase evaporation, and thereby reduce the amount of recharge entering the aquifers. So water availability is likely to become an increasing challenge. Ural has a very large number of wild animals. Besides birds, there are also many large animals such as camels and kangaroos. So a new question arises: is the distribution of resources between the aborigines and the animals sufficient in a region where resources are so scarce? The presence of a large number of wild animals in the area makes it even more difficult to rationalize and the distribution of already scarce resources. For example, it has been documented that water sources accessible to camels are of poorer quality than those that are difficult for camels to reach. At last, in the next design, I would like to design the brochure to present the culture of the Aboriginal people. I think that first of all, we have to let more people know about the culture of the Pitjantjatjara people, so as to drive the development of the local economy in order to further help them.
I'm Roland Yang. In our group, my assignment was about research on inhabitant analysis. It can be divided into these 6 parts. Now let's start with cultural values. Firstly, the land plays an important role in Pajajara people's culture. They have been the custodians of the land for generations, and the land forms an inseparable part of their identity. They had seasonal occupation of the land, using their intimate knowledge to both protect and live off the land. In future design, we need to make children more aware of the land they live on, in a way that is accessible to them at first. Secondly, learn about the history of Pitjantjatjara people, such as contributions of elders to land conservation. Not only is this a way to make them more aware of the land, but it can give them a stronger sense of who they are. Another important cultural value is translating culture and beliefs. Their cultures and beliefs do not always translate to English. Some of them choose to share parts of their cultural traditions and beliefs with non-indigenous visitors. Therefore, based on the fact that indigenous and non-indigenous cultures have not yet reached the full communication in future design, we should work on building a bridge between two cultures for them through education. There is a need to not only perceive the traditional education of the Pajajara people in education to give them a stronger sense of their culture and identity, but also to make them aware of non-indigenous education systems and cultures so that they can be more tolerant and bring more possibilities into their lives. Apart from these two cultural values, there are also some same cultural values between different communities, where diversity exists across and within indigenous communities. Uh, some indigenous cultural characteristics are part of all indigenous cultures and unite indigenous peoples through shared history and shared experience. For example, the six core values of indigenous culture. The design of education needs to take into account people from indigenous communities other than the Pajajara, as well as non-indigenous populations. It's possible to build bridges between different parts by using common cultural characteristics as a starting point, while maintaining respect for different cultures. Now, let's move to politics. The most significant politics in Pajajara is Chukupa. It's a kinship system that the elders pass on these cultural stories and traditions to their descendants, ensuring the continuation of their language and culture. And men and women play equal but different roles in the community. They each perform specific tasks for the benefit of wider community, and these roles in Chukopa ensure a balance of work and cooperation within the community. So the kinship system needs to be considered in the future design because for the Pajajara people, the relationships between people within the community are very strong, and elders are very important in the upbringing of each child. Therefore, using the advantages of the kinship system and minimizing the limitations of the close-knit kinship system. Now, may I draw your attention to those inhabitants with special needs. Firstly, is those children who have physical disabilities. There are articles that show indigenous children are more likely to arrive at school hungry, ill, and tired. In addition, ear disease and associated hearing loss are highly prevalent among indigenous children. Hearing loss can lead to delayed speech and educational development. Children in many indigenous communities suffer from chronic ear disease at a rate that well exceeds the 4% threshold, and which a disease is regarded as a major public health problem. So in future design, there is a need to ensure that they continue their education first. Secondly, they need to be made as accessible and comfortable as possible, physically and psychologically, while pursuing their education. And at the same time, new physical injuries should be avoided as much as possible. For example, considering the needs of children with hearing and designing more user-friendly tools or learning methods for them, especially for their own language. In addition, finding diversified solutions for children with physical disabilities that make it difficult for them to go to school, such as home study, accessible school facilities. Secondly, the mental disabilities is also serious. There is a need to pay more attention to the mental health of children in the Pajajara region and to design them using knowledge of child psychology. Now let's move to potential dangers. It can be divided into violence, health issues, and poverty. The problem of violence and child abuse in Australia's indigenous communities is well documented, with indigenous children typically experiencing violence at rates 2 to 5 times higher than non-indigenous children. For health issues, firstly, the dietary structure leads to unbalanced nutrition among children. And secondly, the problem of dental cares among children is very serious and is twice as serious as in other regions. Then is the poverty issue. In future design, we look for solutions in three main areas: in intervening at an early age, reducing the cost of their learning process, and incorporating the principles of child pedagogy and facility and for psychology. Let's move to chronic issues and/or ongoing human rights. The most serious of these is the problem of sexual assault against indigenous children. Some articles show that the indigenous children are more likely to be victims of child abuse, neglect, and sexual assault. In seeking to reduce sexual violence against children through education, consideration is to be given to combine design with guided education using elements of child pedagogy and psychology to find an approach that does not re-victimize children who have already suffered sexual violence. The last part is emerging or potential issues and/or ongoing human rights. I would like to talk about indigenous juveniles to make up an increasing proportion of juveniles in detention. This problem has not been given much attention before, and there is a tendency for it to become more and more serious. Up to 97% of indigenous children in North Territory juvenile detention centers. If it is not taken seriously now, it will have even more serious consequences when this child reach adulthood. We need to improve this situation by combining educational methods and integrate many aspects of education. That's all of our presentation. This is our reference list. Thank you for listening.